Okay. So today we are going to cover five important topics from art and culture perspective. These are our first topic that we are going to finish is Malabar Rebellion. Second topic is Ahom Kingdom. Third topic Kushinagar. Fourth topic we will understand about some cultural festivals in news. One of them is Lai Harauba. Second is Zo Kutkoi. Lai Harauba is from the state of Manipur. Zokutpo is from the state of Mizoram, and we will also understand about Chapchar Kut. It is also from the state of Mizoram. Okay, so these are the topics that we are going to cover. So first topic under current affairs that we are going to finish is like Malabar Rebellion. So let us understand why Malabar Rebellion was in news. Okay, so the thing is the year 2021 will be the 100th year. Okay, so it will be the 100th year anniversary of the Malabar Uprising. So this makes this particular topic very important for this year's prelims examination. Okay, so any such occasion that we may come across, okay, so that year this topic becomes important. Okay, so the year 2021 will be celebrated as the 100th year anniversary of the Malabar Uprising. So let us learn about Malabar Uprising. Why Malabar Uprising was there, and what is Malabar Rebellion? Okay. So the Malabar Rebellion, also known popularly as the Mopla Rebellion. Okay, Malabar Rebellion is also known as Mopla Rebellion. Was an armed revolt. Okay, so it was an armed revolt staged by the Mopila Muslims of Kerala against the British authorities. So, like it was staged by Mopila Muslims of Kerala against the British authorities and their Hindu landlords in 1921. This 6 month long rebellion, okay, so it was a 6 month long rebellion, is often perceived to be one of the first cases of nationalist uprising in the southern India. Okay, it occurred within the broader framework of Khilafat non-cooperation movement. Okay, so it occurred within the broader spectrum, okay, or framework of Khilafat or non-cooperation movement, which was led by Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so the thing is, this Malabar Rebellion is also associated to some extent with Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so this Malabar Rebellion may seem to be very old, but it is not that old. So it is from the modern Indian perspective, modern Indian history perspective only. So let us learn about the background for the Malabar Rebellion. Okay, so the thing is, Moplas or Mopilas, okay, were the Muslim tenants. Tenants are also known as Kanamdars. Okay, they Muslim tenants, like tenants are known as Kanamdars. Okay, and cultivators. Cultivators are known as Verum Pattamdars. Okay, Verum Pattamdars. Okay, tenants are known as Kanamdars. Okay, so I have highlighted this word so that like you don't forget it. Then cultivators are known as Verum Pattamdars. They were inhabiting the Malabar region, where most of the landlords or landlords are also known as Janmi or Janmis. Okay, landlords are known as Janmi or Janmis. So I'm highlighting this word also for you. Okay, so that you don't forget this word. Okay. So Muslim tenants are known as Kanamdars, cultivators are known as Verum Pattamdars, and landlords are known as Janmi or Janmis. Okay, were the upper caste Hindus, and Moplas had gained some prominence over their landlords during the Mysorean invasion by Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan. But after the British occupation of Malabar in 1792, following the Third Anglo-Mysore War, the domination of the Hindu landlords were re-established. In this scenario, Mopilas soon found themselves at the mercy of their Hindu landlords, who were sustained by the British authorities as their agents. Okay, so this is the thing. So we have understood that there was some kind of feud between the like tenants. Tenants means Kanamdars and the Janmis. Okay, so like here the Britishers also played some role. Okay, so the thing is, like Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, they invaded this particular region, but by uprooting the landlords, okay, Hindu landlords over there. But because of the Third Anglo-Mysorean War, the domination of the Hindu landlords were re-established. Okay, so in this scenario, the Mopilas soon found themselves at the mercy of their Hindu landlords, who were sustained by the British authorities as their agents. Now, if we talk about causes of the revolt, okay, so what were the causes of the revolt? So there were multiple reasons for this revolt. One of the reason is history of feudal conflicts in the Malabar region. Second thing is agrarian discontent. Third is political mobilization of the Mopilas. Okay. Then we had some immediate causes also. So for you, I'll just read this whatever is written over here, so that you can, once you read again, you will be able to learn it, okay, quickly. So when we talk about like we are now discussing about the causes of the Malabar revolt or causes of the rebellion, okay. So it is associated with the history of feudal conflicts in the Malabar region. So peasant landlord relations were historically strained in the region. Evidently, about 32 uprisings were organized by the Moplas between, so like Moplas had organized 32 uprisings between 1836 and 1919 against the caste Hindu landlords, their relatives or assistants and British officials. Okay, so there was history of feudal conflicts in the Malabar region. Okay, conflicts was there between the tenants and the landlords. Okay, so this was one of the cause of the revolt. Second cause is agrarian discontent. Okay, agrarian discontent. So the economic condition of Mopila tenants had deteriorated over time due to the oppressive British policies, resulting in the increased taxation, insecure tenancy, rack renting, forced evictions, etc. This had given rise to anti-British and anti-feudal sentiments. Okay, so this was like agrarian discontent was also there. Now, third cause of the revolt was political mobilization of the Mopilas. Okay, the Congress reached out to the Mopilas. Okay, so the thing is, the Congress reached out to the Mopilas, Mopila cultivators to mobilize support for independence through Khilafat movement. Okay, and support agrarian reforms in the region. A Khilafat committee was formed in Malabar. Okay, so in Malabar, a Khilafat committee was formed in June 1920, which became increasingly active. Okay, in August 1920, Gandhi along with Shaukat Ali. Okay, so these names are important. So in August 1920, Gandhi along with Shaukat Ali, who was the leader of the Khilafat movement in India. Okay, Shaukat Ali was the leader of Khilafat movement in India, visited Calicut to spread the combined message of non-cooperation and Khilafat among the residents of Malabar. Okay, then by January 1921, the Mapilas or Mopilas, okay, under their religious head, okay, who was the head of the Mopilas, his name is Mahadum, okay, Mahadum Tangal. Okay, Mahadum Tangal was the head of the Mopilas. So Mopilar, like head of the Mopilas were Mahadum Tangal. Pleaded support for the non-cooperation movement. So Mahadum Tangal, he showed his support that like we are going to support your cause. Like he said to Gandhi and to Shaukat Ali that we are going to support you in your cause, for the cause of independence and for the cause of Khilafat movement. Okay, so this is the thing. And at the same time, if we talk about, okay, so the thing is that that time the word independence was not there. Okay, non-cooperation and Khilafat were the things. Okay, for which Mahatma Gandhi and Shaukat Ali, they were they were together fighting for this particular cause of non-cooperation and Khilafat. So Mahadum Tangal, who was the leader of the Malabar, he showed his support, his eagerness that I am going to support you with my people. All of us will support you in non-cooperation and Khilafat. Okay, and what was the immediate cause of the revolt? The immediate cause was Mopilas under the leadership of, this is the name of a person, Variam Kunnat. Okay, Variam Kunnat Kunja Hamad Haji. Okay, so this is the name of a person. His name is Variam Kunnat Kunja Hamad Haji. Okay, this is the name of the person. So I'm highlighting it. So what was the immediate cause? Mopilas under the leadership of Variam Kunnat Kunja Hamad Haji took up arms in August 1921 due to the arrest of Khilafat leader, okay, Ali Musaliyar, and a widespread rumor that prominent mosques in Tirurangadi had been raided. Okay, so the thing is, this Haji, he took up arms in August 1921 because like Khilafat leaders were arrested. One of the Khilafat leader is Ali Musaliyar, and there was a rumor that like Britishers have raided the mosque in one of the places. So this was the immediate cause of the Malabar rebellion. Now, if we talk about the course of the rebellion, course means how this particular rebellion was, like how this particular rebellion went forward. So we will talk about the course of the rebellion. What is the course? It largely took the shape of guerrillas. Okay, it largely took the shape of guerrillas. What do we mean by guerrillas? Means like a group of people. They arm themselves. The thing is they gather arms, and suddenly, okay, all of a sudden they raise attack on some authorities, British officials, like this is known as guerrilla warfare, where they are not telling in advance that they are going to wage a war against people, but all of a sudden they come forward and they launch attack against their enemies. So this is known as guerrilla warfare. So course of the rebellion was, it largely took the shape of guerrilla type attack on Janmis, police and troops. Janmi means landlords. Okay, police and troops. Police and troops, they were associated with the Britishers. Okay, second thing is symbols of the colonial state. Okay, symbols of the colonial state like telegraph lines, train stations, courts, post offices, etc., and homes of the landlords were attacked. When the rebellion spread across the Malabar district, British officers and the local police escaped. Okay, so when the rebellion spread across the Malabar district, the British officers and the local police escaped, leaving vast tracts of territory firmly under the control of the local rebels. Okay, then the territory was declared as independent state. Okay, this particular territory was declared as an independent state in August 1921 by Haji. Okay, who was the Haji? We have already understood his name. His name is Variam Kunja Ahmad Haji. Okay, he was the leader of the Mopilas. Okay, at that point of time. Okay, so the thing is, the territory was declared as an independent state in August 1921 with Haji as its ruler. For next 6 months, he ran a parallel Khilafat regime. Okay, for the next 6 months, he ran a parallel Khilafat regime headquartered in Nilambur. Okay, with even its own separate passport. This is a very important point. Okay, over here, so I am highlighting these points for you. Okay, very important point. He ran a parallel Khilafat regime headquartered in Nilambur with even its own separate passport, currency, and system of taxation. Okay, in prelims, they may ask a question that after this Malabar rebellion, okay, an independent state was declared and a parallel Khilafat regime was established, where they had their own separate passport, currency, and system of taxation, etc. So these statements can come. Okay, although the movement started, off largely as a protest against the British authorities, it acquired communal overtones that culminated into communal violence. Okay, so the thing is, there was a communal overtone also. Okay, that culminated into communal violence, because at that point of time there, most of the Muslims were tenants. Okay, they were like people, cultivators, tenants. So they were to some extent they were oppressed. Okay, and the landlords were largely landlords like Jainis were largely Hindus. So because of this particular thing, it took up the communal tone over there. So let us learn about how the Britishers suppressed this particular revolt. Okay, so the thing is, British suppression of the revolt. The British government responded to the movement with much aggression, bringing in Gurkha regiments to suppress it and imposing martial law. Okay, then there was a vegan tragedy also. So we will talk about this particular vegan tragedy. It is very important. Okay, so approximately 60 Mopilas, prisoners on their way to a prison suffocated to death in a closed railway goods wagon. Why? Because like they were not able to inhale properly. There was no any kind of so it was a closed wagon. So around 60 Mopila prisoners who were on their way to the prison, they suffocated and they died. Okay, so a vegan tragedy was also associated with suppression of the Mopila revolt. Then by January 1922, they had taken back the areas held by rebels and captured all their key leaders. Okay. Then Haji was arrested. Okay, Haji was arrested and sentenced to death along with his compatriots. Okay, so Haji Hamad. Okay, so his name is Variam Punnat Punja Hamad Haji. Okay, so he was arrested and he was sentenced to death by the Britishers. Okay, so this is all about the Malabar Rebellion. Okay, so with this, let us move to the next topic for the day. Next topic is Ahom Kingdom. We are going to learn about Ahom Kingdom now. Okay, so in a recent controversy, Chowlung Sukhapa. Okay, this is the name of a person. Okay, the founder of the Ahom Kingdom. He was the founder of the Ahom Kingdom. So in a recent controversy, Chowlung Sukhapa, the founder of the Ahom Kingdom, was referred to as a Chinese invader. Okay, so there was a recent controversy, political controversies keeps on happening in India. So here in this controversy, the Chowlung Sukhapa, who was the founder of the Ahom Kingdom, he was referred to as Chinese invader by people. Okay, so that's why this Ahom Kingdom was in news. So let us learn about who is Chowlung Sukhapa, and we will also learn about Ahom Kingdom, the administration of the Ahom Kingdom. We will talk about the economic structure, culture and technological advancement of the Ahom Kingdom. Okay, so this is also a very important topic today. Okay, so let us learn about who is Chowlung Sukhapa. Okay, Sukhapa was a 13th century ruler who founded the Ahom Kingdom that ruled Assam for 6 centuries. Okay, so Ahom Kingdom ruled Assam for 6 centuries. Okay, and Sukhapa, he was the Chowlung Sukhapa was a 13th century ruler who founded Ahom Kingdom. Okay, he founded the Ahom Kingdom, and that Ahom Kingdom, ran for almost 6 centuries. Okay, definitely, he might have died very soon, but the thing is that kingdom, flourished. It was able to survive for 6 centuries. Okay, contemporary scholars trace his roots to Myanmar. Okay, so contemporary scholars nowadays, researchers, they trace his, his roots. They say that Chowlung Sukhapa comes from Myanmar. Okay, so he is not basically from Assam. He comes from Myanmar and he invaded and he established a Ahom Kingdom, and that Ahom Kingdom survived for almost 6 centuries, means 600 years. He is widely referred to as an architect of Bor Assam. He is widely referred to as an architect of Bor Assam or Greater Assam. Okay, due to his successful efforts towards assimilation of different communities and tribes. So the thing is, he was a person who assimilated people, means who allowed different people to intermingle. Okay, so he assimilated, different communities and tribes. To commemorate Sukhapa and his rule, Assam celebrates Assam Divas on December 2 every year. Okay, so to commemorate Sukhapa, Sukhapa means Chowlung Sukhapa. Assam celebrates Assam Divas. Assam means it is the name of the state itself. Okay, earlier the state of Assam was, it was written like this, Assam Divas. Okay, on December 2 every year. Now let us learn about Ahom Kingdom. Okay, so we are going to learn about Ahom Kingdom. So Ahom Kingdom was there from 1228 to 1824. So you can see 12 to 18, around 600 years. Okay, just 596 years we can say. Okay, so the thing is about Ahom Kingdom from 1228 to 1824. In the 13th century, the Assam migrated from regions of present-day Myanmar. Ahoms migrated. Okay, Ahoms migrated from the regions of present-day Myanmar to Brahmaputra Valley. In 1253, Sukhapa established his capital. Okay, Sukhapa established his capital at Charaidao in Assam. Okay, they established new states by suppressing the older political system of Bhuyans. Okay, Bhuyans, in Assam, the Bhuyans are landlords are known as Bhuyans. So I'll be highlighting whatever important keywords we come across. Okay, so where was the capital of Ahom Kingdom? So capital was at Chairai Dao at Assam. Okay, So the thing is, they established new states. Okay, uh, they established new states by suppressing the older political system of the Bhuyans landlords by conquering powerful kingdoms of the. They are known as Sutiyas. Okay, Sutiyas are Sutiyas were one of the tribes. Okay, at that point of time. So what the Chalung Sukhapa did. Okay, they conquered powerful kingdoms of Sutiyas. Okay, from 1523 and the Koch Hajo. Okay, so they were also tribes in the 16th century by subjugating many tribes. The Ahom kingdom faced many invasions from southwestern areas of Indian subcontinent and were defeated by the Mughals in 1662. The rule of this dynasty ended with the Burmese invasion of Assam and the subsequent annexation by the British East India Company, okay, following the Treaty of Yandabo in 1826. Okay, so the thing is, the rule of this dynasty ended. Okay, how the rule of this particular dynasty ended? With the Burmese invasion of Assam. Okay, so like Burmese invasion happened in Assam, and subsequently, like subsequent annexation by the British East India Company. Okay, so like they have also annexed the territories of the Ahom kingdom, and they had signed a treaty which is known as Treaty of Yandabo. Okay, so this is also an important treaty to remember. Now let us talk about the administration of Ahom kingdom, right? So Ahom society was divided into clans or khels, and the khel often controlled several villages. Okay, a census was taken, and the people from the more populated areas were transferred to the less populated areas. Okay, and then by the beginning of the 17th century, the administration became almost centralized. Okay, so the administration became almost centralized. So this was the nature of the administration. Okay, so in administration they had clans or khels. Okay, and a khel controls several villages. Okay, so like we can consider uh, you know uh, like khels to be a district. We can consider it to be a district that controlled several villages, and they used to take census, and like whatever region had more population, they used to transfer some of the population to less populated areas. Okay, so slowly and gradually the tendency of centralizing of this particular Ahom kingdom started. Okay, so the thing is, by the beginning of 17th century, the administration became almost centralized. Now let us talk about economic structure of Ahom kingdom. Okay, so the system of forced labor was prevalent. Okay, so it is a very important statement. Okay, in the Ahom kingdom, so the system of forced labor was prevalent in the Ahom kingdoms, and these laborers were called pikes. Okay, so laborers were called as pikes. This keyword is also very important. Okay, so you should specifically focus on important keywords that are coming. Okay, laborers were called as pikes. Each village had to send a number of pikes by rotation. Okay, then men of the kingdom were mostly employed in agriculture, construction of dams, and other public works. Many new methods of rice cultivation were developed by the Ahoms. During the time of the wars, the men served in the armies. Okay, there were also different pottage industries and home manufacturers also. Okay, now let us discuss about the culture of Ahom kingdom. Okay, culture during the Ahoms. The Ahoms worship their tribal gods originally. Okay, so the thing is, the Ahoms worship their tribal gods originally. Okay, but during the mid 18th century, Hinduism became a prominent religion due to the rule of Hindu kings. Yet the Ahoms did not adopt Hinduism completely. Okay, so the thing is, most of the Ahoms were tribal people there. They had their own god, but slowly and gradually, when the Hindu rulers like took up that particular like region under their control, so that Hinduism also became prominent religion in that region. Okay, so in the Ahom kingdom, various arts and literature flourished. Poets and scholars were given land grants, and theatre was encouraged. Various translation works were carried out from the Sanskrit into local languages. Then historical works known as this Buranjis, okay, historical works known as Buranjis were also written, first of the Ahom language and then in Assamese. Okay, so first it was written in Ahom language and then it was written in Assamese. So Assamese is the modern day language. Okay, like of the people of Assam. Now, if we talk about technological advancement, they used new and advanced ammunitions like firearms even in the 1530s and began to make gunpowder and cannons by 1660. So this is all about, this is all about this Ahom kingdom. So I have highlighted the most important keywords for you. You should be focusing on these keywords like after the discussion, right? Once you come across this document, once I share, you can simply, read this particular document. Now let us move to the next topic for the day. Okay. Next topic is we are going to learn about Kushinagar. I had already discussed this topic. I thought of taking it again because it is very important topic for this year. Okay. So let us learn why Kushinagar was in news. Okay. So the Union Cabinet has recently given its approval for declaration of Kushinagar Airport in Uttar Pradesh as an international airport. Okay. So the Union Cabinet has recently given its approval for declaration of Kushinagar Airport, okay, in Uttar Pradesh as an international airport. So that's why Kushinagar came in news. Now we need to understand about Kushinagar, right? Let us learn about Kushinagar. So Kushinagar is one of the important Buddhist pilgrimage sites and is also a part of the Buddhist circuit. Okay, so it is also a part of the Buddhist circuit as Lord Buddha. Okay, so we will learn about as Lord Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana here. Okay, Lord Buddha had attained Mahaparinirvana here. So it is very important information. Okay, so like that's why Buddhism as a religion is important for this year's exam. Now let us talk about what do we mean by Mahaparinirvana. Okay, Mahaparinirvana in Buddhism refers to the ultimate state of nirvana. Okay, which is everlasting state of highest peace and happiness, entered by an awakened being at the moment of physical death. Okay, once a person physically dies, then it is considered that this like once a person is like who has been practicing Buddhism, so it is considered like he has attained nirvana. And nirvana means like it is a state of everlasting highest peace and happiness. Okay, so this is the thing. So here at Kushinagar, Buddha attained Mahaparinirvana. Okay, so that's why this place is important, and it is a important Buddhist pilgrimage site, and it is also a part of the Buddhist circuit. Okay, so now let us learn about prominent archaeological sites in the city are Mahaparinirvana Stupa. Okay, so in this city in Kushinagar, there is an archaeological site. Okay, what is that archaeological site? It is known as Mahaparinirvana Stupa and temple. The later houses are stunning 1,500-year-old reclining Buddha. Okay, so Mahaparinirvana Stupa is there. There is a temple, and this particular temple houses 1,500 years old reclining Buddha. Okay, and the Mukta Bandhana Stupa. Okay, so it also has Mukta Bandhana Stupa. Okay, representing the Buddha's cremation site. Okay, Mukta Bandhana Stupa is cremation site of Buddha, where Lord Buddha was cremated. Okay, the site of Kushinagar was first identified by Sir Alexander Cunningham in 1877, the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India. Okay, so Sir Alexander Cunningham was the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. Okay, now let us learn about other important Buddhist sites. Okay, so what are other important Buddhist sites? They are not in Kushinagar. Okay, but the thing is, in this respect, it becomes important for us to learn about other important Buddhist sites also. Okay, so the other important Buddhist site is Lumbini. Okay, it is Buddha's birthplace. Lumbini is there in present day Nepal. Then Bodh Gaya, it is in the state of Bihar, where Buddha attained enlightenment. Okay, Bodh Gaya, where Buddha attained enlightenment. Then we have Sarnath, where Buddha gave his first sermon after attaining enlightenment. This is also known as Dharma Chakra Parivartan. Okay, so at Sarnath, okay, where Buddha gave his first sermon after attaining enlightenment. Then we have Kapilvastu, where Buddha grew up as a child. Okay, Kapilvastu is also in Nepal. Okay, then we have Koshambi, where Buddha delivered many sermons. Okay, Koshambi, where Buddha delivered many sermons. Then we have Sankisa. Okay, Sankisa. Lord Buddha is believed to have descended here after giving sermons to his mother in heaven. Okay, so this particular place is actually not associated with life of Buddha, but like it is believed that Lord Buddha is believed to have descended here after giving sermon to his mother in heaven. Then we have Shravasti, where Buddha showed his divine powers to impress upon the non-believers and delivered important sermons. Okay, so these are important locations associated with Buddha's life. And apart from this, I have highlighted some important locations related to Buddha's life. What are those important locations? Okay, so see in this particular map. Okay, so I have highlighted these places. So this is number one. This number one shows Lumbini. Okay, Lumbini in Nepal. It is the birthplace of Buddha, where people celebrate Buddha Purnima. Apart from this, the second location is this one. Okay, this is Bodh Gaya, where Buddha attained nirvana. Nirvana means not nirvana means enlightenment. We can talk about. Okay. Third place is Sarnath. Okay, so after attaining enlightenment, nirvana means during the lifetime itself. Okay, he attained enlightenment. So apart from nirvana, like I'll write here enlightenment. Okay, so Sarnath, it is also in UP. So here Buddha has delivered his first sermon. This is also known as Dharma Chakra Parivartan. Okay, Dharma Chakra Parivartan. So Buddha has delivered first sermon. Okay, over here where he told the world about 4 Arya Satya. Okay, and he also talked about Astangika Marg. Okay, 4 Arya Satya. Arya Satya means the world is full of sorrow. Okay, the cause of the sorrow is desire. There is a way to then he talked about there is a way to overcome the desire. So these are the 3 Arya Satya. Fourth is you need to follow Astangika Marg to overcome those desires. So he discussed about 4 Arya Satya and he talked about the Astangika Marg. Then some important keywords I have also highlighted. One is Mahavinishkaram. Okay, this is the event of leaving home by Buddha. Okay, the event of leaving home by Buddha, and this particular event is shown by horse. Okay, means like there is a animal representation of this thing. This is shown by horse. Okay, and like birth of Buddha is shown by elephant. Okay, elephant or lotus, elephant. Okay, or lotus. These are associated with birth of Buddha. Then Parivrajak. Okay, Parivrajak means he became a homeless wanderer. Okay, so these are the places associated with Buddha's life. Okay, some of the places have been described above, and some of the places have been marked over here. Now let us talk about some cultural festivals that were in use. Okay, so we will learn about some cultural festivals. They are very important festivals. Okay, so one of the cultural festival is Lai Haroba that we will talk about. Okay, Lai Haroba. Second, we will talk about Zo Kutpoi. Okay, and third thing that we will talk about today is Chapchar Kut. Okay, so these are the things. Okay, Lai Haroba is from the state of Manipur. Jo Kutpoi is from the state of Mizoram, and Chapchar Kut is from the state of Mizoram again. Okay, so the thing is we will talk about these things. Lai Haroba means festivity of the gods. Okay, Lai Haroba means festivity of the gods. Okay, so I'll discuss these things shortly. Okay, I'll be sharing this document. You just need to go through this document once you get the documents with you. Okay, so I won't be going in detail about it. So Lai Haroba means festivity of gods or merrymaking of gods. This festival is marked to celebrate the creation of the universe. Okay, why it is marked? To celebrate the creation of universe and recollection of the evolution of the plants, animals, and human beings. Okay, so Lai Haroba is, this is the thing. This festival is observed to honor Umang Lai deity of the state. Okay, so like name of the deity is Umang Lai deity. Okay, during this festival, men and women dance in front of the idols of gods and goddesses and also perform dance, drama, enactment of Khamba and Thobi, the hero. And so these are the important words. Okay, these are important words, Khamba and Thoibi. Khamba means hero and Thoibi means heroine of the popular folklore. Okay, So this Lai Haroba is performed by Meitei tribes. Okay, Meiteis are the majority ethnic groups in the state of Manipur. Okay, Meitei tribes, they are the majority ethnic groups in the state of Manipur. A significant population of the Meiteis also are settled. Okay, in domestic neighboring states such as Assam, okay, Meghalaya and Tripura, and contiguous areas of Bangladesh and Myanmar. Okay, they speak Maithilian. Okay, their languages Maithilon or Manipuri. Okay, it is a Tibeto-Burman language. It is a Tibeto-Burman language that they speak. Now let us learn about Jo Kutpoi. Okay, so Jo Kutpoi, it is the event witnessed the various cultural programs by Mizo tribes. Okay, so why Jo Kutpoi was in news? Because Mizoram government will be organizing Zo Kutpoi festival in at least 10 states across India and countries such as US, Myanmar and Bangladesh. Okay, so Jo Kutpoi was organized by the government of Myanmar in at least 10 states in India, along with some international countries also, like United States, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. That's why it was in news. So along with this, they have mentioned about some important festivals of Mizoram. Okay, they have mentioned some important festivals of Mizoram. So you just need to focus on these important festivals. Okay, what are they? They are Mimkut. Okay, wherever you are coming across a word that has Kut. Okay, Mimkut, Chapchar Kut. Okay, and so you see like Mimkut. Then we have Chapchar Kut. Then we have Thalfang Kut. Okay, so wherever you come across any keyword like Kut, so it simply means, oh, I'm sorry, just allow me a minute. So accidentally I closed the screen of my laptop. Okay, so